Hi, I'm Nick Brown with BlueSky Boat Works and Torqeedo Fishing. Today I'm out on beautiful Chickamauga Lake, and I've been getting a lot of questions on how I've got my BlueSky Angler 360 set up for crappie fishing and just set up for my style of fishing in general. Today I want to give you a full walk around my boat and how I've got it personally set up for my style of fishing. Give me a minute while I get it off the trailer and show you how it's set up. One of the first things I wanted to show you is the actual BlueSky Angler 360 on my custom built trailer for it. It's a single jet ski trailer that had a universal truck ladder rack reversed and mounted to the top of it, so I've got two layers of storage on the trailer. As you can see, I've added a Yakima cargo basket to that. With the ladder rack in place, I'm not actually able to keep the seat mounted onto the BlueSky, but what I am able to do with this setup is pretty much leave everything loaded onto the boat, so it's easy to slide on, strap down, and go. It also makes it very easy to slide right off the trailer. In a few minutes I've got it completely set up and ready to hit the water, and I can just roll it with the wheels straight down to the water. I used 2-inch EMT conduit bent at an angle to create bunks, and the keels of the BlueSky pontoons slide directly onto those, just like you're loading a pontoon boat or a normal boat. On the corners of the trailer, I've added retractable ratchet straps. These retractable ratchet straps make it super easy for me to strap the boat down and go. Now that the BlueSky Angler 360 is off the trailer, I wanted to go ahead and give you a walk around with the trailer empty, so you've got a good idea of how that's set up and how it works. You can get a better look now at the 2-inch EMT conduit that I use. This is galvanized steel pipe conduit. I've got it bolted to the trailer and to the unistrut straight through. They are about 1.5 inches apart on each side, and about 33.5 inches, if I remember correctly, spread or from center to center of the bunks. You can get a good look here at the retractable straps that I've got on the corners of the trailer. The rack itself with the Yakima basket, I used a 1-inch screw ball in place of one of the lock knobs, so I got a good place to mount my phone and cameras for recording. And you can see that I've bent the 2-inch EMT conduit at a 10-degree angle, and I rotated it out a little bit so that it creates these V's and makes it a little bit easier to get the boat on and off of the trailer. Now that you've seen how easy it is to load and unload the boat itself from the trailer and how easy it is to set up, it took me about 2 minutes to throw my seat on top, my flag up, and my rod holders on. I want to give you a quick walkthrough of everything that I've done to the boat so far to set it up for my style of fishing and for crappie fishing and spider rigging in general. One thing, and I will add a photo to the video here, that I've done is added a set of supernova fishing lights to the boat. I've got blue lights on the front and back and white in the center around the drive hole. And those do a good job of attracting bait fish while I'm fishing at night. Up front, I popped the 2 push buttons loose on the front porch, ran my transducer wires through there and popped it back in place for an easy no drill transducer wire installation for my Dragonfly 7. As you can see here, I've got 2 sets of Cumberland crappie 2-rod spider rigging rod holders with a couple LED lights strapped to them. I use those LED lights for spider rigging at night. They allow me to see the rod tips and line as they're out in front of me whenever it's dark outside. Those rod holders attach with almost a gear track like mount and are easily slid into place and out of place using the 2 set screws on them. I'm utilizing the Yak Attack top loading gear track to mount my phone holder as well as my Raymarine Dragonfly 7. As you can see, I have removed the Jackson Kayak Flex Drive from this BlueSky Angler 360. I did that to free up a little deck space there while I'm using the Torqeedo 1003 travel motor. I used a Marine HDPE board and custom cut that and bolted it into place for a flat deck space. It's very easy to unbolt that and bolt the drive back in place whenever I want to use my pedal drive. Moving on back, on the seat itself, I keep my batteries for my Torqeedo 1003 and my depth finder strapped to the seat post. This makes for an easy no drill installation. I run the wires through the same hole that the steering cable goes through, and I mounted my remote throttle control from my 403 Torqeedo motor to the track on the side of my seat, which makes it very simple to control my throttle at various speeds. It's a variable speed throttle control, so I can go as slow as I need to for crappie trolling. On back, you can see that I'm utilizing the Yak Attack track mounted cup holder with my Orion tumbler, my Jackson Kayak J Crate low on the back of the boat. I went ahead and cut a couple cam straps short on each side so that they strap directly to the boat. I never have to take it off. Another thing that I did was I reversed the direction of the storage box or hatch on the front 2 pontoons so that they open forward rather than backward. This makes it a little bit easier while I'm on the water to open those up and get access to some of my crappie gear. These Plano 3500 series boxes fit really well in the tubs that come inside the hatch on the front two hatches, and it just makes it easier to get to on the water without that hatch being in the way and on the floor beside me. Moving on back, I've got my transducer mounted with a Ram transducer mounting arm. I'm planning on probably moving that to the front of the boat and possibly utilizing the Yak Attack switchblade transducer mount instead of the Ram mount to make it a little bit easier to lift it out of the water and clean it off. But also I want to get it up front so that I'm seeing the depth and what's in front of me rather than the depth and what was behind me as I go. On the back, I've got a Power Pole Micro mounted on the one of the rear pontoons. I plan on adding a second to the other pontoon. I'm not going to be using it today, so I don't actually have it connected. Another thing is how I've mounted my Torqeedo 1003c travel motor. So the Torqeedo 1003c travel motor comes, and it looks like an outboard with a battery connected directly to the top of the motor, and there's a lot of other components for transom mounting on there. You can take all of that off and it basically becomes a pylon just like the 1003 with the same diameter shaft, just a little bit longer. The Torqeedo 403, just like the Torqeedo 403. The Torqeedo 403 will also mount in this exact same fashion, and you'll get about 1 mile an hour less speed out of that, but it's a very good option for this boat as well. As you can see, the way I've mounted this, I have taken two hinged trolling motor mounts that have pins that go through them to connect. I drilled a couple holes in the rudder itself and just pin those straight through to the rudder. This setup works very well for this. I possibly will be cutting the rudder down at the bottom to follow the shape of the nose of the motor and maybe give it a little bit more protection. I need to do a little bit more testing on that to confirm that raising it that high out of the water will still work and be efficient with the motor. One thing I picked up from the BlueSky Boat Works user group on Facebook is adding pulleys to the boat. One thing I picked up from the BlueSky Boat Works owners group on Facebook was adding some pulleys to the rudder lift cable to actually improve how the rudder lifts, and it actually helps me tremendously to lift the extra weight of the motor. I've also attached the cable or the cord for lift to the motor pylon itself to give me a little bit higher lift point and make it a little bit easier to lift. The other thing I did there was replace the cord that came with the boat with some 550 cord to give it a little bit larger diameter and make it a little bit easier for this clam cleat to hold on to the cord with the extra weight of the motor. Moving on around, you can see I've got my 12-foot crappie rods I use for spider rigging attached to the rod holder that comes with the boat. One thing I did was take the round holes that didn't have a slot and cut some slots in there. I also added some tarp bungee balls to the inside, so I've got a set of straps on the inside as well as the outside. Be careful doing that. I learned the hard way that hole was left around without the slot for structure on that rack. So if you stack too much weight on the top of it and not on the bottom of it, it tends to get a little tilt to it and lean. As you can see, I've added a piece of Yak Attack gear track to the back porch on both sides. so I can hold my Yak Attack Visi Carbon Pro. There's a couple deck mount loops there also if I need to add anything. I utilize the boat itself comes with 2 of these Yak Attack rod holders. These are great rod holders. I tend to use these for whenever I'm pulling crappie rigs and trolling behind the boat for crappie. But I keep this one in the vertical position like this because it makes it really simple to take these 12-foot rods whenever I'm rigging them, put one sticking up above my head, and rig the rod while it's doing that. As you can see here, there's my Pelican box. It's got a battery tender 35 amp hour battery inside it. I've got a 12-volt socket so I can charge my phone. It also runs my depth finder and my lights under the boat using flat connectors. And on the side here you can see the bag that comes with the BlueSky Angler 360. This is a really convenient bag. I've got some things in it. Keep my pliers in the sides of it, keep my wallet in there whenever I'm not using it. Another thing I picked up from the BlueSky owners group is someone decided to replace the hex bolts that were mounting the gear track on the sides of the seat and the armrest on the side of the seat with some D-rings and some machine bolts instead. That gives a lot cleaner look than the hex bolts did, and also gives you a place to attach accessories to the boat and add some functionality there. On the side gear track here, I've got a T-Rain retractable with a fish grips. And to move my Torqeedo 1003, since it's connected to the rudder, I'm able to use the stick steer itself and move the motor with the rudder. So what I did there was these hinge mounts that I use to mount the motor have got set screws. So that motor is actually set in place. It only faces forward. It doesn't twist with the boat, it twists with the rudder. Other than that, guys, that is the gist of what I have done to the Angler 360 to this point. It's working amazingly well for me. I'm really enjoying my time out on the boat itself. And I am about to get out on the water here and do some motoring around, maybe find some crappie under that bridge over there. I've been seeing a lot of activity. Have a great day. Enjoy your time on the water with your BlueSky.